make sure you absolutely love what you do. I can say that after 32 years, I still absolutely love what I do. Make sure that you know everything there possibly is about the field that you're going to go into, because probably the biggest stumbling block is not understanding the market, not understanding the business, not understanding your competition. You just really, really need to make sure that you love what you do and you know all about it that you can know about it. I would also say too, surround yourself with really good advisors. I have a really good CPA, a really good attorney, people that I trust and I bounce things off of, mentors. I think it's important to have your own little cast of characters that make up your board. I would say that not just as a woman-owned business, but as a small business, there's a lot of challenges, constantly changing regulations, keeping up with all of that. Also supply chain, ensuring that your supply chain, that the materials that you're receiving from manufacturers are good quality materials. And then getting a good qualified workforce is probably the biggest challenge. I firmly believe in looking for the best, hiring the best, and paying them the most possible amount of money I can pay them, rather than the opposite effect. I would rather surround myself with the best possible people I can. It was actually a business relationship that I had, and it developed into, he kind of became my mentor. And to this day, I remember and I appreciate everything that he did for me. So at this point in time in my career, I try to pay back, or play it back, as they say, in the sense that I hope that I inspire young people and can mentor, give as much as I possibly can to young people. You know, you kind of have a tendency to want to take 32 years and try to teach somebody everything all at once. But I just think it's my responsibility now to make sure that I offload as much industry experience as I possibly can. I think it's a great strategic growth plan. For years and years and years, I was the rainmaker. I was in charge of all of my own business. But at some point in time, you start thinking about legacy. And I made the decision that as a very strategic growth plan, that I would look into acquisitions. Once I do an acquisition, normally the process is to first collect data on how the company currently is doing business. That usually takes a good year or so. And then once I look at all of that data, I try to figure out whether or not processes can be streamlined and create efficiencies. And then the next step is to obviously implement those efficiencies and then figure out if it works. And if not, go back to the drawing board and start all over again. I've found them a number of different ways. A couple of them have just landed in my lap through word of mouth. I have hired business brokers as well. As a matter of fact, Levy Marketing and Awards, I got through a business broker. And then Proforma sometimes brings me acquisitions like they did a couple days ago. One of my favorite charities was Western New York Public Broadcasting, and I actually got into that through a client. A client asked me to get involved, and I did. I started out on a small scale, but then ended up chairing that auction actually 3 years in a row and raising over $1 million for that organization. But that really came to me through a client, and it was one of my favorite charities that I was ever involved with. Leadership Buffalo, I was in the class of 1997. I firmly believe that you need to know as much about your community as possible, and that's what Leadership Buffalo afforded me to do, was learn as much about the community, whether it's, you know, education or civil service or this, that, or the other thing. To be able to give back to the community, you need to know about the community. So I'd say those are probably two of my favorite.